we're going to be playing some FreeCell with the Bicycle Verbena deck, a deck that I quite like. It has pretty standard face designs, but I like the color scheme and the back. It's a pretty simple deck, but I think it's pretty nice. There's the back, very pretty design. And I don't know how well it shows on the camera, but the black cards are not actually fully black. They're actually a very dark brown, which I quite like. And I really like this color scheme for the face cards. I think it's really pleasant. So, before we get started with today's game, I just want to say thank you to everyone for your kind comments on my last video, the 4 Against Darkness video. I was so nervous about that video because it's so different than the type of games that I normally play on this channel. But nearly all of the comments have been extremely positive. And everyone has been saying they're excited to see more of that game. And that makes me so happy. So, thank you so much. You are definitely going to get more of that game. In fact, I think my next video after this one is probably going to be a follow-up to that video. We will finish Malethea's Cave. And depending on how long that takes, we might start another adventure as well. So, I hope you guys are excited for that. And yeah, thank you so much for your nice words. Makes me so happy that people are enjoying that. So the game we're playing today is FreeCell. It is a very popular game. Definitely the most popular of the open solitaire games. And I think the reason why people like it so much is because, one, it has very little luck involved. Like every open solitaire game, all of the cards are dealt face up from the start of the game, so you always know what you're working with, and winning is based on your analysis and planning skills. The other reason why I think it's so popular is because one of the common critiques that people have of Klondike, which is the most popular solitaire game, is that the game is very often unwinnable. Very often, when you deal out a game of Klondike, you are doomed from the start. And you don't really have any way of knowing it until you've already been playing the game for several minutes. And a lot of people find that frustrating. But in FreeCell, the game is winnable 99.998% of the time. To put that another way, you have a better chance of guessing somebody's PIN number than you do of getting a FreeCell deal that cannot be won. And that element makes the game very satisfying for many people. It is very appealing to play a game where you know that if you lose, it's most likely because you made a wrong choice somewhere, and not because you simply got bad luck with the deal. And I think that's a big reason why this game is so popular. Anyways, that's enough shuffling. Let's deal out the game, and I'll explain the rules. So to deal out a game of FreeCell, you simply deal out rows of 8 cards until the deck is exhausted. Each row should overlap the row beneath it. And when the deck is done, you should have 8 piles. 4 of the piles should have 7 cards, and 4 of the piles should have 6 cards. The goal of the game is to move all of the cards to 4 foundation piles, which we'll be putting in the upper right of the playfield here. The foundation piles each start with an ace and are then built up in suit to king. So, you start by moving an ace to the foundations, then you put a 2 of the same suit on top, then you put a 3 and a 4, and you go all the way up to king. And once you've done that with all 4 suits, the game is won. This part of the field right here, where all of the cards are dealt, is called the tableau. And on the tableau, you can move cards one at a time in descending sequence and alternating color. So, a black 5 may be placed on a red 6. A red queen may be placed on a black king. To aid you in manipulating the tableau, you have 4 free cells. These will go in the upper left of the playfield. Each free cell can hold 1 card, and you can move any card that you want from the top of a pile to the free cell. You can then leave the card in the free cell for as long as you want until you make a space for it on the tableau or on the foundation. By default, you can only move 1 card at a time, but if you have open cells, like for example, let's say we have a stack here that is 4, 3, 2. We could move the 2 and the 3 to empty cells, then move the 4, and then move the 3 and the 2 back from the cells onto the 4. So you can only move 1 card at a time, but if you have open cells, you can move multiple. Lastly, if you manage to empty out one of the piles by moving all of the cards, you can move any card into that empty space. In some solitaire games, you can only move a king, but in FreeCell you may move any card. So with that out of the way, let's start the game. And the first most obvious move is to take this ace of spades and move it to the foundations. Next, we'll move this queen of diamonds to the king of clubs and take the ace of clubs to the foundation. We can also take this 2 of clubs and move it on top. Let's take this jack of hearts and move it onto the queen of clubs, revealing the ace of hearts. We've now got 3 of our 4 foundations already. This was a pretty easy start. Not all of them are this easy. We can move this 2 of hearts to the ace of hearts. Our last ace is right here, the ace of diamonds. I don't think we're gonna work our way towards it yet though. I think instead we're gonna work towards making an empty space so we can move some of these face cards into the empty space. Actually, I changed my mind. I think I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna move this jack right here to the queen of diamonds, move this 5 and this 6 to the cells, as well as this 5 of diamonds. Then I'm gonna take this 7 of diamonds and move it to the empty space, move the 6 of spades onto the 7, and the 5 of diamonds onto the 6 of spades. I will move this jack of diamonds to the empty cell, move this the 3 of spades onto the 4, this 2 of diamonds onto the 3, and then this 2 of spades to the foundation. Now we've got an empty space. So let's see how we want to use it. Empty spaces are sort of like free cells, but they're actually a little bit better because you can build stacks on them, whereas a free cell can only hold 1 card. I think I'm going to do this. I'm going to move this king to the empty space, use the cell to move this queen and jack onto the king. Then I'm going to move this queen to the cell, move this 10 over here onto the jack, then move this queen back over onto the king. Now I'm going to move this 9 onto the 10, move this 3 and 9 to the cells. Then this 10 will come over to this jack. We take our final ace, the ace of diamonds, and then this 2 and this 3 go to the cells. I'll move this 3 of spades to the cells as well. And this 4 of diamonds, because our black foundations are built up to 2, so we can go up to 4 safely on the red foundations. Let's move this 4 of hearts to the cells, and then move this 5 and 4 back to the empty space. So now we've got 2 open cells. I'd like to move this king pile here to an empty space, and I think I'm going to do that like this. Let's move this jack and 10 over here onto the red queen, and we'll move this 9 as well. We'll move this 9 to the cells, and then we'll move the 5 and the 4 onto this red 6 right here. Then we'll move this king and queen to the empty space. We can move this 8 to here, revealing the 3 of clubs, which will then play to the foundation as well as the 4. Now I'd like to get to this, the 3 of hearts. So let's do this. We'll move the 5 and 4 onto the red 6. Let's move this black jack over here. This 8 onto the red 9. This 10 now goes here. Move this 6 to the cell. And I'll actually move the 8 to the cell as well. Then move the 9, the 8, and the 7 into the empty space. Now we get our 3 of hearts and our 4 of hearts. Let's start stacking some more. We can do the 5 of diamonds. Let's move this 9 over to the red 10. We get the 4 of spades. Now we can safely stack our red foundations up to 6. And we can do 5, 6 of clubs. We can move this 6 to the cell, which lets us grab the 5, and then we can move the 6. Let's move this 7 to the foundation, revealing the 5 of spades. And we can take the 6 as well, and it looks like this game is pretty much solved. So that was our first game of FreeCell. I hope after seeing a game it makes sense. This game was a little bit easy, but that's not always going to be the case. In general, this game has pretty good difficulty balancing. I would say among the best among solitaire games. For me, I personally prefer the difficulty balancing of Beleaguered Castle, which is another open solitaire game. It's slightly harder than this game, and that appeals to my personal tastes a little more, but I could totally see why someone might prefer this game to Beleaguered Castle. To start, Beleaguered Castle is only winnable 68% of the time, as opposed to the 99% of FreeCell. So, there's our deck, fully in order. I think this might be going off the screen here. So there's game number 1 of FreeCell. I think we're probably going to end up playing 3 or 4 games tonight. I'm not sure exactly how many. There is a really good website if you'd like to play this game on your computer called FreeCell.net. Not only do they have this classic variant of FreeCell, but they also have many other variants. So for example, FreeCell with more or less than 8 columns, or more or less than 4 cells. And this changes the difficulty of the game. of the strategy. Something really interesting about FreeCell.net as well is that it actually rates each deal by difficulty and gives it an ELO score, and it gives you an ELO rating. So the more difficult deals that you're able to solve, the higher your rating will go. Let's do one more quick shuffle and we'll start our next game. Alright. I wonder if I didn't shuffle very well. We've got the ace, 2, 3 of clubs all on the bottom row there. That's going to be a little tricky. We're going to have a tough time getting our club foundation started. This might be a tough one. Once again, we start with our ace of spades. Our ace of hearts is right here. Ace of diamonds is right here. And as we mentioned before, the ace of clubs at the bottom down there. I'm thinking I want to go for this ace of hearts first because we have the ace and then the 2. We also have the 3 and the 4. And we're actually going to get to that 4 pretty quick. I think I'm going to move this 7 to the 8 right here. This 4 will go to a cell. This 8 goes to the 9. We'll move this 6 to a cell as well. Then we take the 2 and the 3. Now we could move the 3 and the 4 to the foundation, but I think I'm going to wait on that. Just because we don't want our foundations to get too uneven. That can result in having missing spaces for cards. I think what I want to do is move this 5 and jack to the cells. Move this king, queen, then the jack, and the 10, and the 9. And we reveal the 2 of spades. I'm going to move the 3 and the 4 now because I want to open this cell. Then I want to move the 5 and the 7 to the cells. Then move this red 8 over. Then 7, 6, and 5. Now it's tempting to go for this ace, but because our 2 and 3 are stuck at the bottom, I don't know if going for this ace is actually very beneficial right now. It might be more useful to try to go for this ace over here, the ace of diamonds. So what I'm going to do instead, I'm going to move this king of clubs to the cell, move this 9 to the 10, move this 7 to the cell, and then move the 8 and 7 over onto this 10 pile. This 7 can go over here. This jack can go over here. We move this 4 to the cell, then we take the ace and the 2 and the ace. So we've got all our aces now. Let's move this queen and jack to the empty space. Then move this 3 and 3. We'll take this 4 and 5, which will allow us to move this 5 from the cell right here. Let's move this 4 to the 5, this 9 to the 10. We'll move this queen to the cell, this 3 to the 4. Then we can move this king and queen to the empty space. We've now got 3 free cells. Let's use these to move this stack right here onto the red jack. Now I think we'll start digging down for this 2 of clubs. So we'll move this 9, 8, 7 over here. The 6 can go as well. This king can then go to the cell. This 5 comes over here. And now we finally get the 2 of clubs and we can start stacking up our foundations. Let's move this king to the empty space. The 7 to the cell. This queen comes over. So does this jack. And it looks like we've pretty much won at this point. This stack right here is pretty much the only one that's not in perfect shape, but it's pretty easy to fix. We just do that, and now the game is absolutely finished. We just have to finish stacking the foundations, and we win. So, another successful game. That one looked pretty tricky at the start, but we managed to solve it. I actually wasn't super confident in my moves at the beginning. I thought maybe I was making some bad plays, but it managed to work out. Alright. Let's shuffle up for game number 3. I really love this game. I think it's the kind of solitaire game that most people can enjoy. It's not too difficult. I think it's a great game for people who are not super accustomed to open solitaires. Great for beginners, but also great for experienced players as well. I don't play it as much as I should, I think. Alright, let's give it one more quick shuffle. Here we go. Game number 3. we go for at the start. Actually, I think I see a line that I quite like. We'll move this 8 to the cell. This queen comes over to the king. This 6 comes onto the 7. We take the ace to the foundation. This jack goes to the queen. We take another ace. This 5 goes to the 6, and then we take a 2. And now we've got 2 foundations and an empty space. Pretty nice start so far. Now I think I'm actually going to move this 8 to the empty space, and then move this 7, 6, 5 pile onto the 8. Next, I think I'm going to move this 6 over to the 7, then this 6 to a cell, this jack onto the queen, this 4 comes over, then we get the 2 of diamonds and the ace of spades. Really nice start so far, going really smoothly. Last ace we need is right here. We can move this 3 over here. This 10 can go onto this jack. We'll move one of the queens to a cell, the other one to the empty space. Take the ace, and we can move this queen over onto the king. This game is going really, really smoothly. I think I'm gonna move this 9 and 10 to the cells. Ooh, that might not have been a wise move. Alright, I wanted to move this to the empty space and then get this queen and jack on top, but we don't have enough empty spaces to do that. So I think we're just gonna have to stack on top of this 5 of spades, unfortunately, at least for the time being. Let's do this. 8 to the cells. Then this 9 and 8 come over. We get these 2 3s. Now I think we can do this. We'll move this 9 and 8 onto this 10. And now we've got 2 open spaces. So open spaces let you move a lot of cards at the same time, because we can move the 10, 9, and 8 like that, and then the queen and jack, and now this king can go to the empty space. So empty spaces really give you a lot of options for moving cards. Now I really want to get this pile right here to its own empty space. We can move this jack to its own pile right here, or rather to the king, queen, jack pile. I think I want to dig down here. Let's move the 7 and the 6 to the cells. Move this king to the empty space. This 4 can go to the foundation. This 5 goes over here. Let's move this 5 to the foundation as well. And I'm going to put the 7, 6, and 5. The 7 goes onto the 8. We take the 3. And we can take the 4 as well. And the 5. Red foundations are up to 3, so our black foundations can go up to 5. Now we need to dig down here. I think I'm going to start by making another empty space by moving this 8 stack right here onto the 9. And we'll move these to the cells, allowing us to shift this jack over, and then these can come back down. We'll use the cells to move this king and queen to the empty space. This 10 can go to a cell. We move the 5 to the foundation. This 7 comes over, and now we have won our 4th game. That was an interesting game. It started off really easy, and then I kind of almost put myself into a corner, but it all worked out. By the way, if you're playing this game and you start to get the hang of it and you're thinking that it's just a little bit too easy, you can play another game that's very similar but slightly harder called Baker's Game. It has almost exactly the same rules as FreeCell. The only difference is that instead of stacking down in alternate colors on the tableau, you stack down in suit. This makes the game a fair bit harder, and it also reduces the win rate to, I believe, 80% instead of 99%. But it makes it a lot more challenging. So if you find FreeCell a little bit too easy after playing it enough times, you can try Baker's Game as a harder variant. Personally, I'm really terrible at Baker's Game. Like I said, the theoretical win rate, I believe, is somewhere around 80%, but I can't win it nearly that much. I think I win it like 1 in 3, maybe. Definitely a much more challenging game. Something interesting about this game is that out of all of the traditional solitaire games that I've played on my channel, this one is actually one of the more recent ones. It was invented in the 1970s by Paul Alfiel. And 1970s might sound to some people like pretty old, that's over 40 years ago. But most of the solitaire games I play on this channel are from the early 1900s or late 1800s, so in that context, it's pretty recent. Alright, let's play one more game of FreeCell. So let's see what we've got here. We've got our ace of diamonds, ace of spades, ace of clubs, and ace of hearts. These two eights are pretty close to the surface. These two are a little deeper, but we don't have any on the bottom row, so that's good. It would be nice if we had a black 9 that was readily available, but we don't. I think I'm just going to move this 8 to the cell so we can take the ace and 2 of diamonds. I think to start working towards this ace of spades and ace of clubs at the same time, I want to move this 8 of spades to, sorry, not to the cell, to this 9 of diamonds right here, then move the king to the cell, take this 3 of diamonds, then move this 8 from the cells. Actually, do I want to do that? We will be burying this 2 of spades, which could be a little problematic. Yeah, I think I'll just do it. Hopefully I won't regret this, but this was my plan right here. I wish there was a black jack that was not too tough to get to. There actually is. There's one right here. Move this 10 here. And now I think I'm going to move this 9 stack over onto that 10. We are burying the 3 of hearts, but I think I would rather empty out this pile right here. Queen goes to the cell. We take the 2, then the king and the queen go right here. This is one of the longer piles. You don't always get piles that's long in FreeCell. Let's do this. 7 to the cell. Jack here. 10 here. Take the ace. And we'll take the 2. And we can take this 3 as well. Let's open up this cell here by moving that 7 to the 8 and then this 7 to the red 8. Move these to the cell. This 6 to this 7. Take the ace and then this 6 to this 7. Now I think I'm going to start working towards that 2 of clubs by moving the queen and the jack here. Then move that 10. Move this 4 to a cell. This 5 comes down here. I don't even know if this is still showing on camera. Move this and this onto the king. Move the queen and the 7 to the cell. Take the 2, the 3, and the 4. And now I think I'll take this opportunity to move this king, queen, and jack into the empty space rather than have it awkwardly sitting on top of that jack. Let's move the jack to the cell and then swap it with the queen. Then move the jack back on top. Let's move this 4 onto the foundation. I really want to start doing something about that pile now. It's pretty ugly. We can take this 5 to the foundation. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to move this jack onto this queen over here. Move this to the cell. Then I'm going to move the 6 and 7 to the cells. Move the 8 over. Then stack these 2 back on top. Then I can move the 9 and the 10 over like this. And now we can move these back over onto the 9. Let's move the queen to the empty space, and then the jack goes on top. This 9 comes over the 3. This 8 comes over to this 9. And now we can free up that last cell. Let's back king to the cell so we can get the 10 onto the jack. And it looks like we've pretty much won this last one. We just have to deal with this pile right here, but it shouldn't be too hard. We can move this 6 and the 7 and 8 go to the cells. This 9 comes onto the 10, then the 8 and the 7 come back. The 6 moves over, and then the 5, and now we can start stacking up these hearts. This 10 comes to the jack, and now we have officially won the game. Just have to stack everything up. Once you have all the cards in descending order, the game is basically won. You just have to move everything to the foundation at that point. And of course, if you're feeling lazy, you can just skip this whole step and start a new game. But I personally like to go through the ritual of moving everything to the foundation. It sort of gives me time to process the win. That was FreeCell. I hope you enjoyed the video. And I hope if you thought the game looks interesting that you'll try it yourself. Like I said, I think this is a great one for beginners to open solitaire games. And it's very good if you're looking for sort of a puzzle. I think the idea of a puzzle that you can sort of do infinite amount of times is very appealing. Like, you can just shuffle a deck and then get a new puzzle. Something about that is really exciting to me. So yeah, that's going to be it for this video. My next video is going to be more 4 Against Darkness, so some more tabletop dungeon crawling. If that sounds interesting to you, consider subscribing to my channel. Of course, I will still be doing more solitaire card games as well. I'm never going to stop playing patience games. That's what I started the channel for, and it's something I love, and honestly, I never get bored of it. So if you like these sort of games, I'm always going to be doing these videos. You don't have to worry about me switching to other content or whatever, because this is the core reason that I started this channel, was for these sorts of games. But for now, thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a great night and sleep well.